To get landing gear, wheels, and some of these lightweight parts. These are really heavy. I'm hoping I can get one of these machined down, get some of the weight off. Most of all, get a set of landing gear that's going to be appropriate, and get all the props. Digging through the box of props is going to be a time-consuming thing, getting them all balanced and seeing which props are appropriate. But for right now, this has really gone in there very well. We have the prop, and I'm just trying to think, the landing gear. Get some spare parts for this. I'm estimating by the weekend we're going to be in the air. And if this works out the way we expect and hope, we'll probably spend a little time, even do a little bit of cosmetic work on it. Because the plan is we hope we can have it ready and be able to take it out to the Flushing contest, which is coming up in 2 weeks actually. And also, if we do get some decent weather, it's been raining almost every day lately. One of the things we'd like to do is get some more flights on a Testarossa. Anyway, a lot of shop projects. And then, of course, Rich Jacobone's Stuka wing, making spinners. It's going to be a pretty hectic next couple of days. Now this morning I wanted to start off the day by getting some more of these parts in. I'm trying to make 6 of them up for Larry Fruits, who's making a tail using the old Typhoon video method. And again, what we tried to do, we thought about laminating. Larry sent some wood that he thought was 16th, but it's 32nd. And this is wood that very difficult to get A grain, real nice straight A grain. So I wanted to pull one of these out of the mold. Now because he only needs parts 14 inches long, even if we only get part of each piece of wood, well, it'll be worthwhile. And I'm always glad to see that people are getting some use out of these little methods and techniques that we try to document. Anyway, now the trick is, once you get this off, of course, there we go, take it off of our mold. The mold is simply a rod. In fact, it's a nice rusty rod now. With a piece of 3/8 wood behind it. That piece is certainly nice and straight. That's acceptable. And the little rust that's in the inside, I guess Larry can just sand it out. But we're going to try to make a few of these up. Now for anybody making up a hollow leading edge tail, this is the way we've done it. We have the videos of the Testarossa, the Typhoon, the Miss Ashley. Just there's an unlimited amount of video on how to do this. And every time we do it, I keep thinking, why would anybody do it any other way? The bombers are all made this way. But to start, you need a couple of pieces of molding leading edge. Now, one of the things Larry is very smart for doing is, you know, you only need 2 pieces to make a tail, but I'm going to make them 6, so that there's no way, even if some of the parts don't come out exactly as he'd like, you don't wind up, whoops, you can't use them. Anyway, these are nice. I'll get the rest of these done off camera. Try to get this out to Larry, who's in the middle of I guess, building a tail right now. I just got a phone call as I was doing this. And what I'm going to do, I'll tell you, this is pretty funny. I thought I'd put some tape over this to keep the rust from transmitting down onto the part, which I guess I should have done before. But again, the whole trick with all of these molded parts is really to get yourself really good A-grain wood. A-grain, straight grain, you wind up with nice parts. But anyway, you'll really like this. I get a call, and the message is, "Hey, Wendy, I got here this morning." Brian always gets to the field first. "And the Ferrari flag is still there. Well, you left the Ferrari flag at the field overnight." Look at this. That's probably Brian telling me to come pick up the flag. Now, of course, the whole trick with this is to get it good and wet with ammonia. That's what I've done here. And I'm going to just work this piece, kind of pre-bend it. Again, it's been really difficult to find this decent A-grain wood. Geez, that's unbelievable. Now luckily we have this little hobby shop up by us, Ridgefield Hobbies, that they have an outdoor G-scale train layout, among other things. You've probably seen it on a video a few times. But one of the things they have is a supply of decent wood. The only problem is you've got to root through. He doesn't sort it or stack it or anything. You just have to go through it. I managed to get 3 pieces, just enough for what we're going to do this job for. Okay, so once this wood is pre-bent like this, now the other trick is, and these are just little tricks, none of these are real big, is I want to lay it out on a mold, the buck, whatever we want to, oh my God, Brett Buck. Now I want to try to get it even, although that's not real critical. And what I want to do is just try to look down one side, and I've shown this enough times, but it's still worth putting on, because this is something basically everybody can do. And we're going to be getting this week, I know there's nobody else making silk span in the world, I've said that before, and thanks to John Brodak, we're going to be testing a new supplier of silk span. Hopefully it'll keep the ball going. And this is, well, this is one of the things that's a problem in everything we do is, Tiger 46s used to run great. Boom, soon as Super Tiger found out they work good in stunt, they stopped making them. Same thing with a lot of products. Soon as they're IM hinges, you just go right down the list. And as soon as something works good, it's always a good idea to inventory some yourself. But in the case of silk span, now that's changed a little bit, thanks to John Brodak, because when John sees that our industry is running out of something, he's prone to put his money where his mouth is and tool up and have it made. And so as soon as we get these silk span samples, I think it won't be long and the world will be back to having silk span. But boy, I really hate to see any of the things that we always use, and it's just so hard. And the biggest one of all, yeah, I'm just talking, is good 4 to 6 pound wood. When you could get it by grain, C grain, B grain, A grain. Those days are gone. You order wood, and I don't care who you order it from. You never get all 4 pound wood. You never, and certainly you don't get blocks. And the other thing, it's like impossible to get this stuff. You got to order $1,500 worth to build a plane. So anyway, this will sit in a mold overnight, and within a couple of days we'll have these made up for Larry. And I really think, well, maybe he's already got the DVD. I don't know if he needs a copy of the DVD, but this will certainly allow him or get him started on making what I think is going to be a real good competitive tail for whatever design he's building. And you can also adapt this technology into any design. That's the other part. And here's our retrofit plane, and just as an example, if you were to use that technology to build this tail, it probably would be lighter. I'm just going to assume that. But anyway, just a thought. And of course the Testarossa is that way. Pretty much all our planes are that way. But in fact the only one that isn't is the Spitfire that has that carbon fiber laminate solid wood tail. But beside the point. Now, because of the lousy weather that we're having, I was hoping we'd get some work done on a Spitfire wing today. Well, you know, that's really not going to happen. Rich is busy with business stuff. And I've got a couple of extra pipes that I've laid up. One of them is for Ramo. Ramo's looking to try one of our pipes. I'm sure he'll be happy with it. There's no question in my mind. But in the meantime, we got a lot of shop projects to make. And then I want to get back, as soon as the daily production is done, I want to get back to working on my 90 retrofit. Now, in doing our retrofit plane, this is one of our goals. I want to just go through this real quick before we get back to work on it, because I've been trying to come up with a philosophy anyway, or an idea here that may or may not work. But of course, that's always what we're trying to do. Now, one of the things in the past, this is really a pattern master. Even though that looks like whatever it is, a cardinal or an impact or whatever it is, it is a pattern master. Now I know, And Bob Barron has won the Nats with a Pattern Master that was over 80 ounces. So we know that's going to be possible, and we know that's not a deal breaker or any reason to throw a plane away, but we know it'd fly better if we could get this to 75. I'd really be, if this plane will go in the air at 75 instead of 80, 75, I'm looking to see if I can do that. Now, there's a lot of ways to do this that sometimes you don't think of them right away, but they're the only practical way to do this. First off, the next step on this is to make up a landing gear and wheels. Now, if we were to take aluminum, the original plane I think had aluminum gear and typical wheels, well, we know this can be as much as 5 ounces. I've had landing gears that when they have nice fancy wheels and aluminum. Well, we're hoping what I can do is I can get the gear to about 1 ounce, and I know I can. And I'm going to try to do another tricky thing to the gear. If I need more gear clearance, instead of having the typical spread, I'm going to try to do like they do on the Sequoias and put a little bit of a bend in it, just to get a little more clearance. I don't know if I'm going to have to do that yet. But the other one is wheels. I need to look around when it comes time to select wheels, not based on how cool they look, but how light they are. Because what we're fighting every step of the way is we've just put in the front of the plane probably legitimately 7 ounces more than what would be in the plane. Now, it's really not as bad as you think it is, and I've already taken in tradition and put in a motor that was actually heavier than this 90 and flew it, and it really wasn't it wasn't horrible. It was doable, but a lot of things had to happen. Number one is when a plane is really nose heavy, the lead outs have to go as far forward as they possibly can. No matter where you think they go, they're going to wind up going forward. Also, we may not, and because you're going to need special hardware for this spinner, I may not even be able to use a spinner, or the fact that I have my lightweight spinner, lightweight tank. Now, the spinner that I normally would have is probably 1 ounce lighter, maybe 1.5 ounces, and the tank is for sure 1.5 ounces lighter. So what happened now? Now, look at it real quick. That 7 ounces is now about, well, maybe 4.5. And maybe even 4, because the tank is, a big tank like that is really a lot heavier than what I allowed for it. So what happens? Now we're down to having about a 4 ounce. That changed everything. If you look at how this is working out. So now we have this CG range that we know a Pattern Master flies in. And I'm looking around and I'm saying, well, the number one thing to do is make a list of all the things that are going to work to make this plane fly if we can bring it in at 75 ounces. The first is any plane, and I mean any plane, that I ever fly, I always tape the hinge lines. Now, there's always people that have a counterpoint, and there's no point arguing about any of these things. If no hinge line tape works for you, that's fine. But every plane in my Air Force, every single plane, every single flight is taped. Now what it does, it equalizes if there is any bleed, and even the tiniest bleed is a bleed. So on a light plane, if the flaps are bleeding lift, it's not a big deal. But on a heavy plane, it's a big deal. If you ever went to the world of gliders, you'd notice, especially the real high performance, high efficiency gliders that have very high glide ratios, they're sealed. There's nothing on gliders that isn't sealed. At least the ones I've seen and the people I've spoken to emphasize over and over, it's really important to seal the hinge lines. Now, so what we did, and I did it off camera, that's step one. Step two is there's a lot of parts on this engine, and I just took the thrust washer off last night. The this thrust washer is almost 1 ounce. It's like 25 grams. Well, the first thing I found was an aluminum nut, an aluminum washer to get rid of the steel. Bob Zambelli's going to try to make me up some crankshaft material. It's 5/16 out of aluminum. It could be we're going to get 1 ounce of weight off the front, and that's going to bring us down to where we're only really dealing with a 3 ounce gain up in this area. Now I know if we're down to 3 ounces, I know I might be able to make a lighter little expansion chamber muffle like Joe Adamusco has, but that's somewhere in the future. I know, for instance, well, in this case, I'm just going to fly it without the cowl. That's another 3/4 of an ounce. So we're down about, when this is going to go in the air, the penalty that we're paying is probably going to be between 2 and 3 ounces. And on a plane this size, the problem is what's going to happen is it's going to be 2 or 3 ounces heavier than it would be with a, say, with a 65, but it's going to be weight all the way up in the front. So we're going to be real conscious of, from the CG forward, the exact opposite of the problem you normally have. Normally you're trying to get the, normally I would be taking this ship and sanding all the paint off the bottom of the tail. In this case, I want to get everything off the front, and I want to really take my time because 2 reasons. I'm going to need prop clearance for a 15-inch prop, so I'm going to need bigger wheels. Bigger wheels are going to be heavier, and I'm going to need to deal with somehow, and I'm thinking of that Sequoia as one of the ways of doing it, or maybe making a special landing gear with a special bend in it. Remember, the carbon fiber gear, just like props, you can heat it, bend it. So I'm hoping in the overall thing, again, my goal is, Bob Lampione's Pattern Master is in the low 80s. I'm hoping that when we get this to the field, this will be lighter than his Pattern Master, which has the same pretty much wing and tail. Obviously he has a concourse winning finish. This is not going to be a high point finish, but it's going to really allow us, if we can get the weight where I want it, it's going to allow us to really test and to really make the test meaningful and allow us to do a lot of work with props, which is, of course, one of the things that I always like to do the most. Now, I know in the past, because I've done this enough times to know what the result is before it happens, you take a plane, I'm just going to make an example of one of the planes that brings back a lot of good memories, by the way, making this happen, and I know that because I have this on video, a lot of people may have already seen it, but this was my 92, the original, and I wanted to just go through this 92 Cardinal. Now, I really learned a lot about the design and pushing the envelope on planes like that. It was a small plane. Here's the problem. It was only a 700 square inch plane. It wasn't like a real Pattern Master that's about 750. Now, what had happened is, we were at the Nats, 1992, plane ran out of fuel, it was broken, the wing was broken, this was broken, the wing, the gear were broken out of it, and the plane was basically a jigsaw puzzle. But I took up the challenge and I got it all back together, and when I got it back together, I realized it was 10 ounces heavier than when I really started. All of the fiberglass, and by the way, that video is still available if anybody wants to really enjoy watching a plane go back together. Our plane, it's really destroyed. It's like the A-26 crash. But what I found out is, now I basically had a plane that was really a lot. It started out to be a very competitive plane. Now it was heavy, and I still wanted to make it competitive. I still wanted to fly it, and actually to this day the plane is still flying in Arkansas. The late Don Dixon, I gave it to him. Midgley had it for a while, and he gave it to Zuriel Armstrong, who is still flying it. So now, ship is heavy. You go back to the field. What are some of the do's and don'ts about you have a heavy plane? Well, I try to go through this very methodically. Tape hinge lines. That allows you to maximize the lift. The second thing is more power. Now, in my case, this plane started off with a 51 Super Tiger. I wound up putting a 60 in. That solved the whole problem, in a nutshell. In extreme cases, you can take the flaps, and in fact I did this right at the field. I added a 1/4 inch piece, a 1/4 by 1/8 to the back, taped it on with tape to the flaps and elevators both, so I had bigger flying surfaces. Added almost no weight at all. Now what I did, and then I started trimming this down until I found what I thought was the optimum size, and it was about a 1/4 of an inch bigger, and then you can go home and just refinish the flaps or just make new flaps. But all these things combined Another good trick, when you know a plane is heavy, you want to fly the CG further back because it allows the plane to turn with less flap deflection and lose less speed in the corner. So just automatically, we're not going to have this choice unless we put solder on a tail wheel, but when you've got a repaired plane or a plane that's heavier than you want it to, Bob Lampione's plane for instance, it's very simple, and it doesn't mean it's going to fly like it's 50 ounces, or Billy Werwidge's plane or something, but what it's going to allow you to do is get good use out of a plane that possibly might not have a good service life. And in fact, here's the perfect example. Here's a plane, I don't know when Jose built this plane, but I know if we can get a year out of it, and we can learn something from it and put all that knowledge in a database, we start out next year's program without any problem at all. Now on a plane like the Testarossa that's not really heavy, you don't need a lot of these you know, these are like pull out all the stops, like a Hail Mary pass. But it's better to have a Hail Mary pass than no pass at all. So these are just some of the things that, and this is where it gets complicated. When a plane gets too heavy, let's say it's flying on a 12-inch prop, it'd probably fly better when it's heavy on a bigger diameter prop. A prop that drives better, in which case, obviously, a bigger motor, bigger prop, they kind of go hand in hand. And if you can fit it in a bigger gas tank so you can run higher nitro. But this just gives you some of the ideas that have been going through my mind as I'm getting ready to finish up this retrofit. Because this is, we did tradition, we put 40s in it, we put 50s, we put 4-strokes, Satos, laser 4-strokes. It had George Aldrich jets. It had, I wonder if there's motors, the YS 4-strokes. But you know what? Every time we did it, we learned something. Something we learned. Now this is where the challenge really gets big. This is where, but of course that's why I do it, is because I want the challenge. I don't want to get up in the morning and say, well, what am I going to do today? Let's see, turn on channel 4 or channel 5. No, that doesn't do much for me. We're used to using, in the days of using Tiger 60s, 12-inch props. 13-inch props maybe on some of the 60s, 65s, the pipe engines, but really not more. Now that we have Doran props and Rich Oliver props, we've gotten that diameter out to 14 inches. But you know what? With the 90, we're going to be able to have maybe 15 plus. Now, Rich Oliver already warned me about something that to beware of. The turn of any plane, the prop is a resistance. This is a gyroscope. And the way this works is a 12-inch prop, the resistance that a 13-inch prop has is a lot more. It's not 10% more, it's probably 20 or 30% more, and there's calculations for figuring that out. Bill Netzband helped me when I did the Sato 90, helped me figure out the calculation for the bigger 15-inch props. But what happens with bigger and bigger props is you tend to lose corner. But there's two factors in this. There's the diameter of the prop and the RPM. So what happens if you have a 12-inch prop at 10,000 RPM and I have a 15-inch prop at 7,000? The way you get to use bigger and bigger props and not pay that horrible penalty if you lose the corner is the RPM has to come down as the diameter goes up. Now, what's new about this to everybody, it's new to Rich Oliver, to myself, to everybody, is we have just hit the reset button. A lot of the data we start with is fine, but here's the problem. Now we're dealing with bigger numbers. We're going to have to go back and just start a new database. But again, this to me is challenging. Now, what's nice is everything we learn will be on video, or a phone call away, or an email away. And we're not looking to develop this so we have some kind of secret stealth weapon to go be competitive with. We're doing it because we like doing it. And a lot of people that do this don't really like doing it. That's one of the problems. They kind of grit their teeth and say, oh, I got to, I think Rich Oliver and myself get up in the morning and we're just dying for the next challenge. I don't know. Well, maybe he isn't, but I am. But anyway, the trick is, and we're going to try to keep this in mind. Rich is sending me a box of props. I have a ton of them here. And if we can use more pitch, lower RPM, we may not have a big penalty. And I don't know how much the penalty is, even if we don't lower the RPM. This is the big unknown. This is the part we're going to have to develop. Let me get the phone. The next step is to take a batch of, this is the latest batch of carbon fiber gear. And these, of course, have the molding flash still on them. I have to grind off the molding flash. And then what I'm going to do is weigh all of them and see if any of them are just a little bit lighter, because again, they're typically about an ounce. Sometimes because of the way they mold and the way some resin gets squeezed out, they're a gram or two lighter, a gram or two heavier, which normally doesn't matter. But right now we're groveling for every single gram we can to get off of this plane. Needless to say, anytime you grind carbon fiber or sand it, we have the jet vac going to vacuum up all of the extra dust. Don't ever even think about doing this without a mask. Ready for the final dressing off of the edges. We do that in a sink underwater. Now from this point on, we finish these off by hand, but the first step is, anytime you can sand a carbon fiber part underwater or wet, these are the ordinary Bud McKnight sanding sticks, and if you don't dress the edge off, what happens, it's like a carbon prop, it's a razor blade, there's no difference. But there's a lot of hand finishing goes in from this point on. People think when it comes out of the mold it's done. Well, if only that were the case. There's a lot of little hand finishing steps. And just like making props, people don't realize how much time goes into making a carbon fiber prop or even a wood prop. It's a lot of hand labor. Now once this is dressed off with the file breaks down the really sharp edges. Then what I do, I take a piece of just ordinary 1200 sandpaper and just put a nice edge on that. Now back in the day when we used to use aluminum gear on some of the planes in the 80s and stuff, it was just accepted that you would have a 3-ounce gear and 2 ounces of wheels. Typically about 5 ounces. If you added wheel pants, you could get it up around 6 or 7. But nowadays, with the advances in wheel technology, we're going to see how much we can knock that 5-ounce number down. Anyway, when these are hand finished off, they come out of the mold with a beautiful finish anyway. It's a really pretty nice part. Now the first step, of course, is going to be I'm taking what amounts to be one of the reject gear, and what I want to do with this, I want to make a pattern. Well, actually I can make a pattern without even using this. Now unfortunately what Jose has done is there should be 2 bolts in the front and 1 in the back. He's got 2 bolts in the back and 1 in the front, and I'm not sure what that's all about, but unless he'd moved this around or he had some other logic in mind. But the first step is I'm going to have to open this up a little bit to get the gear in place, and it looks like the wheels will fall in the right spot. I just need to take a little bit of that material away. Now I'm just using a little paper pattern to pick up the centers so I don't have to oversize drill these holes for the bolts. And then I'll transpose that out onto the test gear. Now it's funny, I made up a pattern, put it on the original gear, and forgot to flip it because this pattern is not symmetrical. In fact, I'm not sure if you do this yourself, the two bolts should be in the front, of course, but it doesn't really matter now. It's a moot point. But I didn't flip the pattern over, so when I put the gear in a plane, it wasn't straight, and I didn't want to elongate these holes. I don't want to make these holes any bigger than they have to be, because basically they weaken the gear. The other thing is, if you use a Dremel bit, one of these cutting bits, it's always better to drill carbon fiber parts with a bit if you want to put 1/8 inch holes in, because the drill bits, first off, they're gone in 2 or 3 holes, and what happens is the drill bits bite and they tend to split the part. So having this, it's just a little bit easier if you put the holes in. And we'll work right off the pattern, of course. Now, a couple of times I've seen people that take these holes and they just keep drilling them because they can't get the gear to line up, and by the time they're done, they're a 1/4 inch. Not a good way to save weight. And you notice there's a little extra material in the mold for where the axles go. Well, we want to do the same thing with the axle. You don't want to drill a hole and you don't want to have a big sloppy fit. You like to have a nice tight fit at the axle. Okay, now the next issue is how much prop clearance are we going to have? And it looks like, and I just did this by eye, it looks like, well, it looks like we'll probably have enough, but I want more. There's a lot of reasons I want more here too, because I want to have the ability, if we have the possibility of running bigger and bigger props than 15, that we have some room for them. But I'm going to look around at the wheels I have. And I don't want the wheels to start getting heavy. 3-inch wheels turn into a ton. So this is where it's going to get tricky, is coming up with a package of wheels and hardware that's not going to be heavy, but give me plenty of prop clearance too. Now this pair of wheels, these are electric wheels, is 14 grams. This set is 16. And these bomber wheels I made, and I made these from composite hubs and hollowed them out, and these were part of the A26. These are the lightest of the group, so we're going to try to use these if we possibly can. Again, these were really, really light. This is actually, these were on the A26 when it crashed, so. And if we don't wind up using these, we'll wind up giving them to George Waters, who's working on the A26. And having a super light pair of wheels, even though these aren't attractive, these are not like in keeping, we're certainly not going to put wheel pants on it, but the 3-inch wheels, these are 2 3/4. The 3-inch wheels I have are 1.5 ounces a piece. These are 2 for a 1/2 ounce, a little less than a 1/2 ounce. Now this is the last part of this we're going to get done today. I got the axles, a little notch for wheel collars because I want to be able to replace the wheels at the field. And actually, one of the choices I have is, if this really doesn't give me enough clearance, I can put a little shim underneath here. But that's probably all I'm going to get done tonight. Yeah, I'm just looking at, after doing a few tests for prop clearance, I could easily just put a piece of carbon fiber or plywood or something if I need to get another 1/8 inch or 3/16 of an inch of shim. But unfortunately, that's all we're going to get done today, and I've said that before, but this is going along a lot smoother than I thought it was. There's still a lot of stuff to do, but trying to get a bite out of it every day. And it was only a couple of days ago that I was wondering if we'd get the engine in.
Now I'm real happy the way that worked out. That certainly wasn't bad at all. The wheels, the gear, that kind of got butchered into position. Now there's a couple other cosmetic things I wanted to do tonight. I got a little more time here. Thing is going relatively quick. I wanted to sand out some of the air epoxy light that went over to repair. I want to trim off the rudder and just make it as neat as possible. Try to sand some of this down, and hopefully maybe even get a coat of, well, maybe primer or something on it tonight. I'm not sure how long this is going to take to do the cosmetic part of it, but from this point on it's pretty much a cosmetic job. Now the hinge lines are sealed. We've got prop clearance. We, for all purposes here, we have everything except the prop in one place. And I'm not sure, well, again, until we actually fly the plane, I'm not sure, like for instance, there's slop in the controls, if it's enough, not enough. But I know, having seen the plane fly, I know it's going to be a good ballpark plane just to do what we expect to do with this. And so what I'm going to do is just pretty much spend the rest of the night tonight doing some of the little cosmetic touch-ups on it. And none of that is mechanical, it's all cosmetic. But the gear worked out fine. And we got to start looking at, maybe in the next day or so, getting our props ready. I don't want to rush that. We have a whole bunch of props to get ready. And Rich Oliver's sending down some stuff, so again, it just has gone better than I really thought it would, and it's getting exciting now, and hoping the next couple of days we're going to get it finished, and most of all that we're going to get some props to test and get some flying, and get, of course, get Jose to fly it. Now today, and for sure this paint isn't going to match. I just brushed on paint on this new little part of the rudder I put on. I don't want raw fuel getting up there. It's really same thing out on a wingtip. I didn't even bother to try to make it real cosmetic, because again, the finish on it is not going to be one of the things we're interested in. The nose, I just brushed on the closest coat of Miss Ashley red that I had, just to try to get it that it's fuel proof. And that is one thing left to do today. I don't know how much of this is going to be. See, this is the thing. This drive washer weighs almost an ounce. We're going to be hopefully getting something better than that from Rich Oliver, or lighter or whatever. But I want to take out all the props. We got prop clearance even for a 15-inch prop now. I want to lay out all the props I have, get them all balanced, weigh them so I have a weight on every prop, and try to get this set up. I mean, we're only props away from being able to take this out to the field. And I'll spend the better part of today to just try to get a selection of props, because for sure if you have the wrong prop, it's got too much pitch, not enough, or whatever, we're just going to be spinning our wheels, and the test isn't going to be real productive. And all the time that I've already put into this project, and it's a considerable amount of time, it's really kept me psyched up and excited about having this a new possibility. Now, we haven't even run the engine yet, so one of the steps is going to be to try to get a hold of somebody, Rich Jacobone or John or somebody, to help us just get it running in a stooge and see how long it runs. I always like to run stuff on the ground once before I release the plane, especially in this case. We have something so different, and something that I'm not sure about any of these construction things that all seem to be a little oil soaked and a little tentative, but it's still given us a new lease on life. At the end of the season here, we've had something that really has been fun to work on. And again, one of the things that makes it, I guess, just a little more enjoyable is just thinking about the good days that we've shared with Joe Ortiz over the years. And now that he's gone, just how much all the people in the Flushing area miss him. What a guy. Now as I get ready, all of these shafts had to be drilled out for the 5/16. And I'm not sure any of these or all of these. I just happened to stumble upon the fact I had a 15/8. Well, there's a good chance that's going to be way over pitched. But what Rich Oliver was thinking might be worth trying. We have this
a Doran 4-blade that we can, well, we've had this on a 76, and I'm not sure that's the prop of choice, but we're going to get them all balanced up. I got a giant Bali. This is a 15.5-inch Bali. We can get this kind of pitched up, and this I don't know about. Again, this is, boy, this thing weighs a ton. It's unbelievable how heavy this is. This weighs more than a motor. But what I do have some confidence in, we have some APCs, and because Dubjet is an APC dealer, we're able to get these very quickly. Anybody looking to order APC props, Dubjet is an APC dealer. And again, this is a 14.4, a 15.4W. In fact, I got two 15.4Ws. That might be worth trying. But anyway, once those are all balanced up and all drilled out and ready to go, we'll be ready to get our first time to get this engine run. And I have my 90 box with all the spare parts. And of course, it'd be nice if it stopped raining, but we do need the weather. But the more of these things I can get done in the shop, I hope it's really going to make that first day out that we have a lot of choices. Now with all the props balanced up, it's pretty much ready for the first day at the field. The only thing I noticed was the tremendous difference in the weight of the props. This prop, for instance, is 40 grams, and they go up to almost 80. So that's going to be a giant factor. In fact, I eliminated those two master air screw props. They're over 80 grams. It's just crazy how heavy they are. I'm not sure what use they would have. Now the biggest surprise of the whole project is right now we're at 73 ounces. Now, the problem here is, of course, at 73 ounces it's nose heavy, so it's going to either require some lead on the tail, and we don't have a spinner or cowl, of course. But we do have, and I want to get the aluminum shaft and that thrust washer lightened up, and I think the combination of those two is probably going to get the better part of an ounce off. So this is probably going to wind up in the very low 70s. I'm thinking 70, 73, 72. And that's really going to be, I don't know, that's really going to be cool. If we can keep this in the low 70s, again, 72, 73. I think 72 or 73 again. But my head keeps spinning thinking about it. I was shooting for 75. You know, part of it is that carbon gear and the wheels weigh less than 1.5 ounces. That's a big part of it. That's 2 or 3 ounces right there. So anyway, and the carbon tank, of course, is light, and this is the lightest of the props. So, and it's still nose heavy. So, well, next step on this is to get some weather and get to the field. Now I was just thinking, as I laid these down on the floor so I could do some other production work today, I was just thinking, what a moment in time this is. Here we are. I don't even know how to explain it. We've gotten so much development time into the 76, as has Richard, of course, and it's like we're embarking on a new journey here. I don't know if this journey's going to end very quickly or what. But this, I guess the last week or so since I've been toiling with this and getting this installed, my head has just been spinning thinking about it. And I got all the props that I have in stock already balanced. Richard's supposed to send some head gaskets and venturis and other parts, but the fact that I got this, I remember Tradition flying fine at 75 ounces, but this is 75 and really nose heavy, so again, we're going to find out. This is just one of those things that, I guess the more you think about it, this makes you crazy. But like a lot of things, it's definitely a moment in time, a moment that I'll savor, and it'll be tough sleeping tonight, hoping that the weather's going to be good tomorrow. But Rich is going to call me from the field in the morning. The plan is he's going to call me from the field, let me know if it's flyable.
because we've had some nasty stuff go through. And if it isn't, I guess we'll, the other moment in time here, get his wing. I'll finish off Larry's leading edges, finish Ramo's pipe. Got plenty of projects to work on, but boy, this has just been exciting. Hard to explain the excitement. And we are ready to go to the field. It's just like sitting here waiting for the bottom of the ninth and your last turn up at bat or whatever. I don't know. What do I know? So, this is part of the story. You can never make this up, no matter how hard you try. Here I am. I found a couple more APC props that we may want to try. I balance them all up. I'm all set. It's late at night. Now granted, I don't do well late at night. I'm an early morning guy. Late at night I get tired early, especially being a senior citizen that I am. But here's what happened. And boy, learn a lesson from this. This is a lesson everybody can learn. Karen yells down to me, "Hey, don't forget, tomorrow's garbage day." So I got garbage all over the cellar from people working here and construction stuff. I was working in the back. 4 or 5 bags of garbage. I bag them all up. It's dark outside, number one. And I have to go through the gauntlet to get out to where the garbage has to go. And I walk out, and as I'm carrying the bags, I don't realize one of them had rubbed up against my leg. And in that bag, Karen had put a jar that had broken. Well, I said, Jesus, my shoe, what did I do? Step in something wet? Well, it wasn't wet, it was blood. And what had happened is, a piece of the broken glass was sticking out of the garbage bag and had just gone in, and it didn't cut it. It took a chunk out like you took a spoon, and a very small piece, maybe only the size of a, I don't know, of your fingernail. But it's a piece of meat that's missing. So now you think, oh, okay, so we have bandages, and I've been through this a million times with Raoul, the terrorist, and everything. I go out to the car, and I get my first aid kit out, and I'm bandaging myself up, and I says, Karen says, oh, don't forget now, we have new sheets in the bed. I don't want you bleeding in bed. So now I have to wrap the leg that's already got a big bandage on it, and blood is coming through the bandage. I got to wrap it up in a towel, and I can't sleep in my own bed. I got to sleep on towels. So, unbelievable. You cannot. Just to take the garbage out. And I remember Kevin Captanelli, Ed Captanelli's son, he had put razor blades, number 11 blades in the garbage, and what happened, they used to take all the foam scraps over at Dudka's house, and they tied up the bag, and he said the bag was all puffy. He went like this and put the blade right into his hand. So, Rich Oliver, you've gotten your revenge. Rich has had his, how dumb can we be, you know, that commercial for Vonage, people do stupid things. Well, I'll be on the next one. Anyway, that's unbelievable. I wish I could make it up. In fact, as we speak, now, this is from the night before. The blood is still coming out of that. And Karen thinks I should be going to the doctor this morning, and I say, well, I'm going to try to do this myself, but there's a chunk of meat missing, and the problem is, of all stupid things, this is the kind of thing that always happens when you're not paying attention. It's just unbelievable. Well, so Rich Oliver has had his day in the sun. I've had mine. And Rich Jacobone's going to be coming over here later to work on the Stuka. So that was the bad news last night. I made it through the night. That's no problem. I get up this morning. I look at the weather report, and it says the next 2 days are going to be windy and stormy. Another crappy piece of air is coming through here. So Rich usually goes down to the field with Brian in the morning, and I said, geez, if there's any chance at all it's flyable in the morning, give me a call. So he gives me a call, 7 o'clock. Totally unflyable. They never even took the plane out of the car. And so we're just going to put this on hold. And we certainly don't want to rush this or take it out in some bad air and whack the motor. And maybe today or tomorrow, Rich is sending up some extra props anyway. Maybe in the end it'll work to my advantage. So the next project here, I guess we'll spend the day working on Rich's Stuka wing, make some more leading and trailing edges for Larry, among other things. We got a tank. I'm still putting the finishing touches on another tank. So just when I thought we'd get a fly-in day, but we're itching. I'm dreaming about this
every minute at a time now. And actually, the more I look at it, it really doesn't look... If you stand 4 or 5 feet away, it doesn't look really bad. We just shut the smoke alarm off. Rich somehow... Wait a minute. Shut that heat gun off. Good tip. If you ever glue a fuselage together and you want to take the motor mounts out, just use a heat gun. Now, how old is that epoxy?
2 days.
Okay, yeah, it's dry already. Okay, so now you want to get this started. Now just hit it, and that burn doesn't mean anything. But now you can start softening the epoxy. Go ahead, John, and you pull it apart.
Okay.
You know what I want to do.
Yep.
I'm trying to edit down this video, and he comes in here, ruins my rhythm. Okay, there you go. Not so close, Jesus. You'll set the smoke alarms off again. Now, just little by little. You don't have to force it either. Keep moving the heat gun back and forth.
I don't know how this thing opened up like this.
What'd you do? You had it in a clamp?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you're not the first one ever did this. You notice I know how to undo it. What does that tell you? In fact, let's get this going. Get some of the fumes out of here. You got it. Now just keep moving the screwdriver up a little bit. A little bit. Now you could also use 2 screwdrivers like you split a log and keep moving the first one up. Good tip. Now, the reason I know how to do this, because look in the back of the fuselage. Guess who never did that? Well, I love these guys that tell you they never do these things. Unbelievable. Just keep wiggling it.
Want to know something?
Don't set my house on fire.
My first plane, I never had this problem.
Yeah, you see what I did to my leg last night? Okay, easy now, John, easy. You're getting to the end.
Yeah.
Easy. Easy, because that last piece is thin.
I know it.
And back here, it's balsa.
Yeah, just go easy, go easy. If you break it, we'll just glue it back together. Unbelievable. Boy, that stinks. You must be cooking me here. Easy, baby, easy. Don't fry the pumpkin here. These are the tricks only the masters know. The amateurs never figure this out. They throw the fuselage away. Easy, you broke the wood, but that's okay. It's not gonna matter. Nah, that's okay. Just go slow. You a little bit more and you'll have it. A little bit more. What a guy, I'm telling you. See, what happens, the epoxy will actually melt before the wood will catch fire by about a 2-degree window. All right, get the sander out, sand that down, and we'll call you next time we see this fuselage, I want to see it.
Sand and clean it.
Yo, you're cleaning. Clean it at your shop, not mine. Don't get any dust. I'm editing down this video. I got tapes and things all over the place, and this guy comes in. How am I supposed to do this? I got things in 4 different languages, done by Carlos, done by me, done by backward, crooked. Oh my God. But actually, the presentation I think is going to be pretty good. Coming out okay?
Yeah.
You just want to leave enough and do the last little bit with a sanding block, some sandpaper on a pencil or something. Because the most important thing is you just run your finger around here and not have anywhere it goes so that those edges come out smooth for John.
Well, what I'm going to do is with the Dremel tool, finish this off.
I don't even know if you want to, because if you slip, you know, you're bound to thin here. I mean, if you go in, you start a whole new template. By hand, I think you got a much better shot.
So
you decide. In other words, this is your project here, so.
Yeah, no, you're right. I'll do whatever.
But once these are done, don't forget you're going to do 2 Stuka wings. You may be using these templates 20 times for the rest of you. Maybe other guys will build a Stuka, you know, and you got these.
We got the.
Once you got them, they're done. Like with the Tiger Cat. So here we are at the Worlds. John is rejudging the whole Worlds, and he said Jacobone won. You believe this? Some pictures came in today of Bob Zambelli's house that he's building on his airport. Now keep in mind, this is a house, but it has an airport. It's on an airport, a private airport, and the runway, you bring the plane right into the back of your house. Yeah, Bob, this looks like it's going to be a tough place to live here. Bob went down this weekend to check out his new house.
That's it.
You know, I would settle for even if you didn't have the hanger attachment.
Where's the hanger?
Where's the flying field? The hell with the hanger.
It's in South Carolina.
I thought
It
was
looks
north.
like it's South Carolina, and it's off Route 95. You know, it's nice with a modern house. No old electricity, no old plumbing,
Well,
buried under the
nice
floor.
closet, nice
Nice
closet.
modern carpeting that isn't 100 years old.
But where's his hanger? I don't see where the hanger's from.
We'll be looking forward to going down and visiting Bob at some future
Absolutely.
time, man.
Now we know.
This is amazing. Until now, I never understood how to tell the difference between male and female birds. Bruce Hunt, pay attention. I always thought it had to be done surgically. Until now, which of the two birds is a female? Below are two birds. Study them closely. See if you can spot which of the birds is female. It can be done, even by those with limited bird watching skills. All right, Rich. I'm going to forward this to Karen. Which of the birds is a female? Oh my God. Karen's going to shoot me. Now everybody knows Arlie Presler is the one that makes the concourse props. We've been corresponding, and I sent him some videos, and he sent me a, he calls it his computer-driven, CNC-equipped, the ultimate automated system for making a concourse props. I thought people would like to see what goes into one of those concourse awards. Seems like everybody'd like to win one or more, and of course, it put me at the top of that list. Anyway, I'm going to read Arlie's caption. He bandsawed out from clear redwood. He does this all with a hand sander left over from his high school days. That looks like it from the bodywork. I guess he went to bodywork school. Well, you know, Arlie, I went to bodywork school too, except, you know, instead of these machines, you know what my uncle gave us? Sanding blocks. We used to take the 50 Merc and sand the fenders down and sand the Bondo. So, we were never allowed to use tools. He uses a rev-up prop as a model. Now, there's only one problem, Arlie, see? I was thinking of putting one of these concourse props on that Rojet 90, but I think it's just a little bit too big. So maybe we could get you to hand carve us a couple of these props out of redwood. And that's what Arlie's saying. He sands the top side first. You can see he's already got the recessed part for the plaque. It's still a lot of... This looks easy, believe me. Go cut a tree down and see how easy this is. But actually, in the early days, the Wright brothers and in that era, right after the Wright brothers, obviously everybody made their own prop. And if you know the story, the Wright brothers, Bernie Trent's the one that filled me in on this, their prop was just a few % less efficient than the most modern props the computers at Boeing can generate. They're within a few % of each other in efficiency. Now he's telling me the garage is, at this point in time, really covered with sawdust. Well, you know what? I think what you could do, possibility, is save all the sawdust in a bag. These model railroad guys, they pay extra for nicely refined sawdust, and they dye it to make fake grass and stuff for their model railroads. Maybe you're throwing stuff away. Remember years ago they used to throw CA away. It was a byproduct. They just threw it away. And he says from this point on it's just a lot of hand labor, hand sanding. And believe me, the finish on these props is really nice. He uses his 50-year-old Porter cable sander. Look at the dust on the table. You can look at the dust on the scale and everything. Well, you know what, Arlie? I know you put your heart and soul into this, and there's not many things I treasure more than my concourse props, believe me. And everybody that's ever been a visitor to my house, the first thing they look at is those props just hanging on a wall up in a Spitfire bedroom. It's really a special treat having them. And without your love and attention to detail, I mean, 10 trophies wouldn't do it. And the final part we all love, the hand sanding. Don't we love this, baby? Oh my God, look at the sawdust on the table. Wow. But that stuff really is valuable. Don't throw it away. And here he is, after 20 coats of dope. Oh, come on. Come on, tough it out, Arlie. Anyway, boy, if there's one guy I owe a special thanks to, it's Arlie Presler. What a guy. Arlie, thanks a lot. I'm just feeling compelled to send you some more DVDs here pretty soon. And thanks so much. And obviously when I sit down and buff out a plane or detail it or do whatever it is that I do, my first thought is always, man, add another concourse prop to the collection, and every once in a while we do. I'm serious, those concourse props really are a treasure. Now, as you know, we always do little research and development projects here. One of the things, if you're a real dealer of product, or you're kind of in the know with what goes on in the world of modeling, silk span's been relatively hard to find. In fact, for a lot of people, the manufacturers, it's impossible to get it. So what John Brodak has done is get a contract to get, basically replenish the market. And it's very expensive. I won't say how much money it is, but it's expensive because things like this have to be ordered on a minimum order basis. So, but what they did, the company that's going to be manufacturing this for us gave us 3 samples. They call it 20 weight, 14.5 weight, and 8.5 weight. Now 8.5 feels exactly like lightweight. 14.5 feels pretty much like medium. And again, 20 feels like it might be, and I don't know because I haven't done a test yet. It might be this is heavy, the equivalent of heavy. But what I want to do, rather than just play around, I got to make up a little test part and kind of do a little test, a little finishing test on these, and see if this is going to shrink up the way we expect it to. Because again, if the material's too light, it's not going to be strong enough. If it's too heavy, it's impossible to sand without building up a lot of weight. So this is our project for today, is to try to get something that we can test these on, do a little test, and let John know, what are the good sides, bad sides, or whatever. And so I'm going to spend the rest of the day doing this in anticipation of possibly tomorrow or Saturday talk to Jose Modesto, and he's ready to become our test pilot. Now, the reason I want him to be the test pilot on this new project, because he's got thousands of flights on this plane. And I don't need to fly a plane. It's easy if he flies it and he says, oh, this is better, this is worse, this is feels different. He'll have a better database at this point in time. But of course, somewhere in the day, I'm sure a lot of other people are going to want to fly it. Now, hopefully we've scheduled that for the weekend, but I'm really hoping, well, we have 3 contests left, and we're going to learn enough to push that little envelope. And it's not a secret that I'd like to have a 90 ship, a real 90 ship, but I'd like to do the development work in a test plane. So that's where that's going. I'm going to set up and make some kind of a little jig that I can make this this silk span test on. Oh, I just tack glued this together. I just want to make myself a little little test piece. Alright, so now we have this little, it looks like a ladder for a midget or something. Now what I'm going to do is mark where each test is going to be, what weight silk span is going to go over each bay. And I even have an extra bay, just if one of them doesn't look like it's coming out right, I'll replicate it. But I really only need 3 of these bays. I'll radius each edge just a little bit so we get a nice valid edge on that. Now I mixed up a little bit of red in with the clear that I was using so I could see where the dope was building up. Obviously that worked out well because I can see where it's picked up, the light, the medium, and the heavy. I won't really know until dope takes a couple of days to dry out, but it certainly, the shrinkage on it is probably just about the same as the silk span we've always used. This is the medium, this is the light. And the wrinkles you see is because I just wasn't careful about bringing it down, and I've got 2 layers here. I've got each one overlapping, so these wrinkles here don't really account for anything, just that there's double layers. But this, and what I'm going to do, this is a real test, what I'm going to do is
give this a couple days and put on a couple more coats, get it to it's just where it's shiny, where I can see what's going on. And then we'll make an evaluation on it. But you can't do this in one afternoon even if you want to. It's just going to take time. But we hope we're going to, if there is a pitfall here, we hope we can uncover it. Well, it doesn't look like an ideal flying day, but we're so itchy to get a flight in here. We're going to try to get up to the field. We're excited about trying to get this 90, at least get it run on the ground. Finally at the field. Now, the first thing we're going to do, of course, is get a ground run it on the ground. I still have to make up lines and a handle. If we're going to fly this in a contest, we got to use 018 solids. For just flying around here and kidding around, we'll use the braids, but the solids will be a little bit of an upgrade. But the problem is, at this field, dragging them around the field's a problem. Rich is already getting all the good air of the day. Now look at the flag. Rich gets the good air. Step one is, and by the way, I had a cool thing happen last night. A guy you may remember from years ago, Bill Mazzoni, gave me a call. He got into drag racing. He had a Chrysler Hemi, some kind of a Hemi Cuda or something, drag car. And he's back into modeling, back into flying stunt. And as we were speaking, he was laying railroad track for his O-gauge model railroad. So the first step is I'm going to try to get this ground run and then get some flights. And then tomorrow, Jose Modesto is going to be joining us for what we hope is going to be a real good... Let's see, right now I'm not too concerned about trying to trim the plane out or get fancy flights or anything. What I want to get is data in the database for the motor. Okay, this footage that's on this tape, we need to edit it down. We're going to have the ground run and maybe some of the flights from the first day out with the 90. Now I don't have any way of getting a tank vent in there this morning, and that's what I needed to do.
Yeah.
So we're just gonna have a little adventure getting it started, a little one. As soon as Rich is done reeling his lines in, we'll take care of that. Just don't stand in front of it, just in case.
No,
this is an old plane.
I know. No, I'm not gonna stand in front of it. I tell you, 90, we'll pull the damn motor mounts out. Zoom.
Well, I don't know how much motor mount is left in there. We're gonna find out.
You cut the nose off.
Jose, I hope you got your insurance paid. Yeah, we'll get it. Look, he puts his plane away. Oh my, look at this guy.
I don't trust you.
What am I paying you for?
I'll blame
Hold
you.
this. I gotta get a needle setting on it.
Get a needle setting, all right.
And don't stand in front of it. No matter what. I don't care what Jose says about it.
Jose said, oh, it's built strong. You find out.
This is 3 ounces lighter than when he had a Tiger 60 in it. And it's 10 ounces lighter than Lampione's plane.
Oh, geez.
10 ounces. Can you imagine?
It's almost a pound. Is the camera on?
Yeah, come on, no cursing. You're wasting my footage here. Rich Oliver wants to see this footage.
Why didn't you get here a little bit earlier?
Well, I got out my coffee, I had to go,
yeah.
You know, my age, getting out of bed in the morning.
Your leg is hurting.
My leg is killing me.
All right.
All right.
All right. Go
Contact.
get it.
Don't be a baby.
Go get it.
Look at that prop. What size is it?
14.
Oh, gee.
And it's the smallest one I got. It's not bumping. Sounds to me it's strong. Yeah, how about you flipping it if it's dry? See you running over here.
A little go-to.
You got a little rinse in there, John?
Yeah, I got it right outside.
Yeah. Yeah, where's it, Rich? running great.
Now,
not
this
running-
is for Rich Oliver's information. It's running hot because it's on the ground. I have a feeling this header's got to go. It feels way too restrictive, and the Venturi's too small. But we'll fly it once as is just to see. I'll let it cool down. Header's too restrictive.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
It sounds like, you know, when you make a pipe with too many baffles.
You know what you can consider doing?
Yeah, I'm gonna cut
that out.
Well, he's gonna send me another one and just chop it off.
Yeah.
That's restricted, but I wanna, well, we'll get a couple
Hey,
flights.
It sounds like it's being choked.
It's choked, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's what we're here to do.
Yeah.
But boy, it's certainly friendly enough.
Oh, it pulls like a mule.
It's got less vibration than a lot of other planes.
It has less vibration than the PA.
Nah, shut. Randy's gonna kick your ass. Okay, we're ready for the big moment in time. Oh, we gotta make lines. It might help to make some lines.
Yeah, cables, not lines. Cables.
Lines, cables. All right, well, now while it's cooling off, I'll make up a set of lines and handle. So this is gonna be the first run. Now this is with the really, really restrictive header, stock header. As we got the motor from Rich Oliver with that stock little restrictor that's in the Venturi, I think that's gonna come out. All right, we still don't have tank vents in it, so that's a little bit of an issue. Just annoying starting it up, but until I figure out how I can vent this thing. All right. In fact, they ought to run the little wood first.
I called Brian. He wanted to know if you were
Oh, he's coming?
He said he's going to test ride a car down here.
Oh, okay, good. I hope he has a hacksaw with him. I wish I would have brought a hacksaw. I'd cut the back off that thing. You got a hacksaw at your house?
Oh, yeah, I got one by the time I come back, though. Shit.
What do I care? It's your time. You're working for Rich Oliver. The pay is always low. Look, it's just good that I'm getting it in the air, even if we fly a level for a flight. But I know, right already, I know that header's got to go. And when Les and I tested the 77 with that header, man, I wish there was a way I could shove a pipe in here. I'll be surprised if tomorrow this plane has a pipe on it.
Haven't heard from Les, right?
Not a word. Okay, now we could do this. Let it drain here.
Well, you could put a pipe here. You know, like a pipes
we
that
don't need to
use.
worry about the appearance of wood for this.
No, what I'm saying is the pipes that we use, you know, without any baffles.
Yeah. Trade one of those little Sergi Belko things like Vigil's got. Okay, let's see. Let's just get a run on it. Actually, it doesn't vibrate much at all, does it? It's no vibration, if nothing more, say, than what it made. Yeah, I just saw the oil doesn't get in there. I didn't even have the right color touch on it.
for? Okay, Rich Oliver, first flight. Throw this header away.
Here, here's the hacksaw.
Give me that hacksaw. Plane actually flies good.
I saw it.
What do you think? I got 100 twisted lines. Look backward or what? Don't scratch it either.
I'll try not to.
I hope Rich Oliver doubled my pay. Now I gotta teach him everything I know. It'll take about 15 minutes. Yeah, he said send him $20. It's $20, so just send it. I want to show Rich Oliver. We don't fool around, Rich. This is not playtime. That header's got to go.
But catch me because I got no.
Okay, here's the deal. We just got to make sure Rich Oliver sees this in real life. Okay, Rich. We want to hold the motor down so all the chips go out and then we'll flush it out. Saw away, baby. Show him. Yeah, how it's red hot. What are you kidding me?
It's not hot anymore.
Go get a hacksaw. Don't cut my finger. I've been all chewed up this week. Legs bleeding, my
Rich.
foot's bleeding.
Notice the way I use the hacksaw. I know how to use a hacksaw.
You notice the cut's on about a 20-degree angle? You can't get it straight?
Well, that's because you're not holding it straight.
Come on, don't get so close to my hand.
You notice the way I use the hacksaw? It only cuts forward, forward, forward.
This guy never cut a 2x4 in his life. Okay, done.
It's not done.
Don't be a show off.
I don't want to keep the burr on there. Ah.
There you are. Too restrictive. Okay, we got to dress this
Beautiful
off.
straight cut.
Now I got to flush this out now so none of the chips get in the motor. So the first challenge I can tell you for sure is going to be to make something up in the next day or so. Nothing in there now. Okay. Some kind of less restrictive exhaust. This is going to be loud, but hey, we're not flying in contests anyway. And actually, one time Jose Modesto just left a piece of tubing on the back of these headers, and it, in some way, it quieted it down almost as much as a muffler would. Now, that's one thing good about a test plane. You got to be able to get the motor in and out real quick. NASCAR, baby. Wait till you see how much the needle's going to have to be open now.
Oh, yeah.
You open 4 turns on a needle. More.
You're going to get oil in the plane now.
Nah, I don't care about the oil. It's not a problem.
Here, you're going to get oil.
Won't matter at all. Put a header coupler on there, if that bothers you. One time I remember Jose had a header coupler just on the back of that, and it was almost as quiet as a pipe. We'll see. I just want it unrestricted, and then I can make a new piece for the back. That's no problem. And I can put it on with a coupler. It doesn't need to be all aluminum.
Oh, I want to hear it run.
Oh, it'll be loud. Trust me. It's going to sound like Al Raby's playing here. You're not gonna confuse it with Mike Palco's electric right now. I guarantee.
You're not, huh?
No. No, you'll know. It's the Rojet 90 flying, not that wimpy little electric stuff. This is a man's plane, Godzilla's plane.
I'm not going to be here tomorrow.
What's up tomorrow?
I have to go to the Garlic Festival with my wife.
Oh, okay. Well, garlic it up, boy. Garlic to you.
I'm staying over at this guy's house
Are you going for the whole day?
for the weekend. It's up by Saugerties. We've
I
been
know
going
where
to
it
this.
is. I know where Saugerties is.
Yeah, we've been going to the Garlic Festival.
What
for
is
years.
it? Like for Italians? Italian cooking or?
No, it's the
Or is it
garlic
just for fun?
farmers.
For fun?
Garlic farmers. They come there, and they sell garlic, of course,
What a surprise at the
And
garlic
they,
festival.
well, they got all different variety of garlic. You'd be surprised how different it tastes.
I like garlic.
German red as opposed to the Italian and this and that, the hard neck.
It's all high tech, huh?
So I'll be going there. They have even garlic ice cream.
Wow.
I'm telling you, it's wild.
You're home free all. You just couldn't be luckier than you, huh?
So I'm going to be gone for the weekend.
I would guess before we even flip this, we ought to open it a full turn. I don't know there, Chick Foley. Tighten this cinch nut up too. Okay. You ever watch the guys work on the fuel dragsters?
Yeah.
They change the engine out in 12 minutes.
Oh yeah, they pulled the engine.
They have a
1, 2,
toolbox
3.
for every operation. One guy has the head toolbox, the crankshaft toolbox.
Valves, everything.
Valves, pistons, whatever the hell they're doing. Money, write the check. That's the part I don't like about drag racing. Bill Mazzoni's giving up drag racing and coming back to flying. What a smart move. Can't say I disagree with that.
That's big money, boy, let me tell you.
He had one of the top Hemis. It's got to be a fortune. It can't be cheap. I don't know if this isn't a Hemi. Hemi Rojets. Let's fly. All right, flight 2.
All right, Rich.
All right.
Hopefully, Windy will be able to start this engine. I have to teach him. You know, I taught him everything that he knows.
Yeah, it took 3 minutes. Did you see when we started the engine, the paper towels went flying across the parking lot? Oh my God. All right. Chicky says fuel it up and fly.
Fuel it up.
It's going to have to be a lot richer, trust me. I've been there already. A lot richer. It doesn't fly bad at all. It flies great.
This dog.
I can't believe he's going to like flying it. Seems like it might need some tip weight. Or the tip is up, maybe it's got a twist in it. It's very friendly. It's not unfriendly at all. And it's got those 4 to 5 controls. It's very quick on the controls. Maybe I can make it. I just love that it's lighter than Lampion's by 10 ounces. That's so bad.
How much does that weigh, Bob's plane? 90 ounces?
Oh, Jesus.
87 ounces?
Something, yeah, something like that a horse would.
I mean, it looks beautiful. He did a beautiful job.
He's got a ton of paint on it. Yeah. Well, he's got the paint king. All right, Jacobone, let's go to work. Torque is cheap. Oh, I like that sound. Al Ray beat you hard at it.
gotta have the power. You hear that, Rich? You gotta have the power.
Now how is that for 2 flights? Hey Rich, does the guy know what he's doing or what?
What do you think Geeski would say?
Oh man, Geeski died to have this thing.
Why you tell him you're doing the square right into the wind?
You just do it any way you want with this thing.
Oh, right. You gotta have the power.
How did that sound?
Awesome.
Needs a bigger. Yeah, it needs a. No, you see, there's no tank vent on the uniform.
Oh, maybe that's.
So what happens? Toward the end of the flight, it gets leaner and leaner. I gotta put a tank vent in there tonight.
Yeah.
But this is a Jewish holiday, so we're not going to be doing this tonight. That's for sure.
Yeah. For right now, we just don't fly level laps. Fly to back.
Man, I'll tell you, that thing.
All right, where's Oliver? All right, Oliver. 2 flights and we got it, baby.
Start building the 90s.
2 flights.
Now, forget those headers. Don't deep six them. We gotta make a bigger tank or a smaller Venturi. That engine brakes like a horse, man.
Oh, yeah.
That was the second flight. I hope the battery didn't go dead. Is the light on? Yeah, okay. That's mind-boggling, isn't it? You take a junk plane that's in a dumpster, hacksaw, and fly. Now, the only thing I noticed, even though this plane is nose heavy, it turns fine. Did it look like it turned?
Right.
The top of the hourglass is killer because you got line tension.
Because you got the power.
But the handle's too big. I'm going to shrink down the handle so Jose doesn't crash the plane. Tomorrow, Jose, you're in for a treat, my man. You're in for a treat.
Tell Bob, you
Gotta have the power.
Tell Geeski he's got the power.
Hear that sound again.
Okay, what I'm going to do is go put the camera downwind and just let it run. This is, I changed the handle setting, shrunk it down just a little bit. That's the only change. We haven't even put it, realize we got to shim the prop, the tank. It's a little fast on outsides, it's fast. See if you can confirm it.
Yeah.
Just confirm
the
it.
engine run.
No, that's what I want to get it, because I'm going to have to pull it apart. Now, the last time I put the camera downwind like this, funny thing happened. I left the Ferrari flag here. I was so busy rolling in the camera. Anyway, this will be the 3rd flight. From this point on, we're just going to record some flights. This is all basically just for Rich Oliver's fun to watch anyway. Pretty exciting. It's been a pretty exciting week, I guess. Now, the things I want to get off of this video, I want to confirm that the tank shim it's got to come up off the mounts more. And I had just taken a rough stab at that, so that's perfectly okay. There's no point even putting another prop on a plane right now because we're just, this prop is very, very close. This is a Doran 4-blade right out of the box, no pitching. Even the load seems about right.
John DeTavio, 4th flight. I wanted to see and hear this from outside the circle. Get a look at it. Tomorrow Jose will be the test pilot. So right now the things that have to happen are, we got to make a real tank uniflow vent in the plane. And I got to shim the tank between the tank and the mounts to equalize it. And it looks like Doran's 4. I haven't even put any of the other props on the plane. This is very close. As soon as I get, it's a little frisky. As soon as I get some head gaskets, that friskiness will be gone. Yes! And I'll get some feedback from John how he liked it. From out here I can see the plane needs a little tip weight. It's up a little bit in upright flight, that's what I had to look at. Because when it's nose heavy, you don't need as much tip weight, but I might have taken too much out. Although the top of the hourglass is almost like the Testarossa, just boom. And on the flight before this, I actually got a stunt pattern in. But once the tank is shimmed equally, it won't even need a bigger tank. So for everybody that will get to share the first day of the night.
Yeah. It's amazing how much pull it's got. Holy Christmas. And that power is right there. There's no, it's going soft out here. That has spoiled the hell out of you.
By the last flight, we chipped the prop on takeoff, and I don't want to try running unbalanced props. I'm going to use it as an excuse to do some prop testing. You know what the problem here is? The ground clearance is very, and when you bring the tail up for takeoff, if it hits a bump, boing. What you really have to do is just, and it's pretty simple, is just don't play with takeoffs right now until we get some more ground clearance on some of these. I don't want to chew up all these props either. How bad did it nick it?
Well, you hit, yeah. You hit
yeah, it hit I know there's very little ground clearance.
No,
I know.
you hit that mound.
Yeah,
right
there's
there.
a little bump there.
Yeah,
okay.
I took it off.
Well, we'll try one of the APCs.
Yeah.
I'll balance it. I want to take it home and balance it.
Yeah.
It's got a good chunk missing.
You took it, yeah.
Let me show you what happens when you split. You think it's only taking that off, but if you look real close,
You can see the blade is split. This is now a choke prop for a Bearcat. And it's unfortunate, you know, that you can't fix that. Because the problem is, as always, the problem is if that splits in flight, that piece is coming off at 700 miles an hour. So maybe Al Raby will have a show prop for his Bearcat, and we're going to try the APC prop just to see if it's got it. It's a little heavier, but hey, we got two of them.
Closed in, the tank all set up.
Now this is a
functional,
14.
A spinner on it. Wow.
This is a 14.5 wide APC. It's a prop that's made for some RC event.
Well, that's all we're going to get on this tape. I'm going to have to put another tape in, but we're going to try to get 1 or 2 flights from the APC on the next tape. C14.5W prop test. First day out with the 91.
prop is quite a bit heavier. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna open up the handle, and then I got one more prop, a wood prop to try. And then we're gonna go back to the shop because we gotta shim the tank. Hopefully get a vent in the top of this somehow. I don't know how we're gonna do that. We'll see. Okay, now what we're gonna try to do, I found a 14, I only had one left. 14,
What left?
it's the last of the
What's that,
14
footers?
fives.
The 14 inch?
14 fives, yeah.
14.5, oh, okay.
And since we're not using it on a Testarossa, we'll sacrifice it to the gods. Hope I brought my ruler.
That's oversized, what do you call it, huh?
Yeah. Big shaft. Big shaft. When I get rid of some of that, make that piece out of aluminum. Watch your window saw you blow it.
Not that it'll matter with a 90.
It's not gonna matter that much.
That thing cuts right through like it's butter.
All right, so the APC is doable, but it's fast.
Yeah.
Needs a little less pitch. That's a 5. I wonder if they make a 4.
Well, you're going to have to experiment. Once you get the tank all set up.
Well, the
tank's
biggest
all-
thing is the tank. To get the tank
yeah.
set. That without
Yeah,
that, what
that's
the
the
hell
biggest
is
thing. That's a big
It's a
drop.
4W.
That's a 4W?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
But isn't the pitch, it's that it's heavy too. I had to open up the handle. Now this, what we really should have is a 15.4, but 15.5 rev up, but who the hell's got one? Rich is supposed to send me some props, but I don't have them yet. So. We got to go to war with the army we already have.
That's right.
With the Tavio we already have. Are you having a good day?
Damn right.
You sound a lot happier.
God damn right.
You sound happy
I'm
for
just
some-
fascinated with this 90.
You sound like you're having a good time. You want to call Gieske up?
Oh, I call him up and say, hey Bob, you ain't never flown an airplane till you fly a 90. Oh, you here? Ah!
Well, I hope Jose has a good time tomorrow. I hope we get a flying day tomorrow. What did that guy say to you with the
Oh,
black
you want to
car?
know if there was a contest here tomorrow? I told him no. I said that your guys will be here practice flying. That's all. I said, oh, okay.
Oh, the cops just took out of here in a hurry.
Oh yeah, well.
Another
they-
drug dealer bites the
They must,
dust.
they must have got a call. Actually, they always come down here farting around. You know, they put they hide.
They think we're planning to fly into
No,
a building or something.
no, that's just a place for them to goof off. You know what I mean? You tell me why a town this size, a mile and a half square, has got 12 police cars.
12? We got 31. 31!
For what? You're kidding.
Hitler didn't have that many
Holy
things in Normandy for crying out loud.
Boy, I
and
tell
no
you,
crime.
You know, your municipal governments are milking the
Oh,
taxpayers
God, it's
like
unbelievable.
unbelievable.
It really is unbelievable.
This is
It's
just a shame.
unbelievable. All right, this is going to be the rev up test.
Okay.
Rev up a dually. Don't let it
You
go.
gassed up, didn't you?
Yeah.
Okay.
You ready?
Oh, yeah.
Time to go home and shim that tank. Shim the tank, put a tank vent, and find somebody send me some props. Anyway, good day. So there's your absolute first day on the 90. Recorded forever. All the good flights, even John's flight.
That's right.
Ah, stop crying. Don't be a baby. Now after that first day of testing, here's, we have really 4 of these left. And this was one of the ones I had cut up for the Sato. These already have drilled. This one's even split. Maybe we won't use that one. And some that I had set up for the Testarossa. Now, the 14.5 is a good choice. It's really a ballpark choice. But we need head gaskets for the motor. The most important thing I need to do is shim the tank, because when the motor's unequal, the low side is always too low or the high side is too high, depending on where you put the needle. So I'm going to start by just shimming that tank up. I'm going to start with 1/8 of an inch as a starting point. Then, as soon as we get head gaskets from Rich Oliver, assuming we do it in the next week or so, we can kill off some of the 2-cycle power. Right now, if you look at some of the flights, you can see it's overpowering in the 2-cycle. But it has a beautiful brake, and it's really a smooth motor. The thing that impressed me the most is, I thought this was going to shake the nose off the plane. It's a pussycat to, and actually Rich was right. It's a pussycat to start. It's actually easier for me to start than the 76. And where we thought the tank shim was going to be, it's going to be up some, but we don't know how much. And I got to really be careful, because with these big spongy wheels, and where I took off and broke that original 4-bladed prop, my own fault. Dumb is as dumb does. But for the first day out, I hope we get some of that footage of the flights that's usable. And the first day out, you know, the first day you do anything, you always have to think. And I respect the opinion of other people, John DeTavio and Jose and Brian and other people that when they fly this, they'll give me feedback. And the feedback will help us build a better mousetrap, I hope. Anyway, see, I got about an hour here. It's Rosh Hashanah, so I don't want to, or Karen's already getting ready to cook. I don't want to squeeze her whole day away, but I want to get this set up for tomorrow for Jose. Now, one of the things that I was happy about is this, there was no bolts that were even slightly loose after a day of running. There's no, this is just raw fuel on here. I'll clean that off. But boy, oh boy, there's nothing leaking, nothing. It was rubbing, it looks right here, rubbing on one of the sides here. I got rid of that. What an interesting first day. So, getting this tank shimmed is going to be the biggest thing, and making some vents. So we can have it vented. We were running it with the Uniflow plugged and the overflow open, and of course what happens then is at the end of the flight it gets fast. Anyway, the tank is shimmed up. I made a temporary, I'm just going to try to run this one time. This is probably going to be restrictive because it's a 60 muffler. But this was made by Sergey Belko. It actually has fins on the back. I want to give it a try. But we can go right back to the old header. And what I've been doing the last couple times is just using 4 layers of safety wire, no zip ties at all. We'll see if that's going to work on this. I found 4 more rev up props. We're basically ready to put this aside. It's Rosh Hashanah. Our family's coming over. Karen's got the table all set. So right in the middle of development, we're going to have a family day. And we always look forward, of course, to having a family around on these holidays. And I'm not sure that is not going to be too restrictive, but we're going to find out. Talk is cheap, and if you want to talk the talk, you got to fly the flight. Now, just before I get ready for dinner, I wanted to look at this. We got some APCs. These look like they're not balanced. I guess we're going to find out. Some more wood props. This looks like it's been on a plane already, but before I even put any of these on the plane, 17.5. Oh my god. Let's see, any of these 16, 4 1/4. Ooh, that might have some possibility. Cut that puppy down. We'll find out. Before I can do anything though, because it's Rosh Hashanah, I can't fool with props. I got a spare header now. I can make up a real header. I can make a real one up now that I have a spare. What else? An empty sleeve. See, one of the things I like, and some Venturis and head gaskets, one of the things I like about working with Rich Oliver is it isn't fool around, play, I'll get it to you next year, next month. You turn around and it's priority mail. And I'm sure he likes the fact that I work that way too. In fact, that's one of the reasons we work together so well. But tomorrow's the big day. Today is a family day. Tonight.
Yeah.
His name is Meat Cutting Boy.
Hey, make sure you get some flowers.
Let's see what that meat looks like, boy.
Every time I come over here.
Look at that meat.
The flowers in the center of the table are the ones for me.
I matched the table. That was the idea.
I thought I would cut the happy birthday off just for tonight.
You're not paying attention to my bib. He's videotaping the bib. Come on.
The bib.
You see, it's like a smock.
You're
the buttons
very.
are on. It's a girl. It's so girly that the buttons
You're
are
very manly. I have to admit it.
I know. I'm so secure in wearing this that I would allow.
You have to be a real man to wear a bib and be allowed videotape in 10 different countries.
I got a 10-inch chef knife, not even approaching him. Look at that.
Yeah, she does this every year.
This is my.
Is this the first time you're celebrating Rosh Hashanah? You never celebrated Rosh Hashanah before?
I'm excited. My first Rosh Hashanah.
All right, it's your first. And of course, Karen puts a lot of love and care and tenderness and you know what she's doing? Listen to this. See, this is you were with us. How many birthday parties did she have? This is number 6, right? Karen, what is this? The 6th birthday party?
No, it's not a birthday.
The 7th.
It's not.
She's lying. Look at what you have behind you. We're going for Chinese food, and this little old lady says, Oh, happy birthday. You want a lucky bamboo. Look at this is lucky bamboo. Is that nice? I'll tell you, she had, what a life she has. If only I had lucky bamboo.
I have a lucky bamboo in my kitchen.
You got lucky bamboo?
Yeah, it's a little elephant with a lucky bamboo. It's not growing though.
What I need is a lucky 16.4 rev up.
Chinese guy says to rub the little elephant's head so that the bamboo can give you the
Here's my lucky bamboo. What are these, 16.4s, 15.4s?
There's also a money plant. Supposed to give you good luck for money. That one died on me.
I'll take the money.
It died on me.
I want a plant that like $20 bills grow out of it instead of lemons or something. Okay, so this is the first time you've done a Rosh Hashanah dinner, Maddie.
Yes.
Okay, she's joining us for the first Rosh Hashanah dinner. Stacy, of course, is a consummate professional.
Rob's,
Rob's a rabbi in training.
Rabbi McKeever.
Straight D's.
One of Karen's wonderful talents is setting these fancy tables with all kind of little accoutrements. Shall we pour water, my love? Okay, what we need to know, Karen, is how, honestly now, how many birthday parties have you had?
One.
Ah! I have witnesses! How many birthday parties has she had?
Thank you. You move closer to hug?
He loves me.
I guess I'm not flying tomorrow.
He loves me.
Be flying into the wine bottle here.
Hey.
Do you like pizza? How can you not like a matzo ball?
This is the real test. Maddie's eating Karen's matzo ball soup.
But I like it.
Ah! I just burned myself. I just leaned in a soup. So after this really great celebration, we wake up this morning. Brian gives me a call. We're going to meet at the field. He's got a motor to run in, and I thought even if we can't fly, because it's been raining on and off all day, one of the things I could do is ground run this thing with some of these different mufflers that I have. Some of these test things I made for the Typhoon. So we'll try to see what's happening. Rich Jacobone's taking his wife to the Garlic Festival up in New York State, so Brian and I and Jose, well, I hope Jose will make it, even though it looks like it's raining. It has been raining. But even a rainy day at the flying field is better than getting on that transit bus and going to work in New York City. Oh, scary. It looks like it's stopped for a little while, but it's supposed to rain most of the day. But in our case, we're so dedicated. It's so crazy, I think. And I see the train, the gate going down, the commuters are at the station, and we're off to get raindrops falling on our Rojet 90. All right, so Brian gave me a hand here. We ran with Sergey Belko's muffler. Seems a little restrictive. But of course it's made for a 60. So what I think I'm going to do is ultimately I'm going to send it down to Bob Zambelli and have him put two of the bigger stingers on. These two they're really small. And I think this thing is really more suited to a well, it's really suited to a 60. That's exactly what it's made for, in fact. So
at least we know that it had, the sound wasn't objectionable, was it?
Oh, it was quiet.
The sound was actually nice with the muffler. The muffler's less than an ounce and it's right on a CG, so maybe that I can make something up in the meantime, something out of carbon, that size and shape, just give it a little expansion chamber to expand into now. It's really blowing pretty nasty right now, pretty crappy. In fact, it's supposed to rain again. So I don't know, I think we're going to try to just get one flight on and see if the muffler flies off, because basically we don't have it mounted. It's just hooked on with that rubber tube. And we don't even have zip ties. I've been using safety wire. So we'll see if it stays on for one flight. I'm not sure it will. And that will be yet to be proven. Okay, we got one flight on Sergey's muffler in the bank. Now, it's a little restrictive, I understand that, and I'm going to see if Bob Zambelli can open up those stingers a little bit, and that's not a real problem right now. It's in the range that we can use it, and one of the things it does, it's nice and it's really quiet. It's as quiet as a 4-stroke, but the other side benefit is now we're not running close on fuel. Now we got 20 extra laps, so I know it's restrictive. Now at this point in time, with that restriction, as long as we're not overheating the motor, we could open up the Venturi probably and get a little more of a bite on the run. Anyway, we're gonna try to make a little mount for that. Nah, just hold it upside down. Hold it upside down. I'm just gonna zip tie it in. I'll make a mount when I get home.
I could take the one out of my car, but that'll serve.
No, I don't even have my thing. See what's happening? As you're flying, it's moving, but yeah, if I had a pipe mount, I'm going to look in the car, see if I have a pipe mount, I can actually hook it.
That would work great, right?
Let me see if I got one. I don't know if I got one. I got to look. And that would, you don't even have to move the muffler, because I can just take one bolt out and use the same bolt. So let's see, and how much meat is on here? Maybe you could just run a drill through it. Nah, not really. I'm dreaming. It looks like you could, but you know what? You'd booger it all up.
In the center here, if you wanted to move it in between or two, right? It's all.
Actually, you know, when I get home, what I should do is cut the header a little bit, move it up forward so it would grab at the end, and it wouldn't be sticking out of the plane as much. Right now, I can't really do that though.
Right.
No, that's hollow. There's no meat and potatoes there. Don't even think about that. But what'd you think for a first flight in some? Believe me, the wind is blowing pretty good here.
Sounded good. I'd like to see what happens when the exhaust opens up and you get some.
Well, we could run it with that. See, I was trying to do it without zip ties. That's the thing. When you get zip ties this close to the motor, they always get fragile and break. And what we're using is four layers of aircraft safety wire. You said it sounded like a 4-stroke. You can.
Yeah, with the prop noise and everything, reminded me of the 72.
Okay.
You know, just coming around in level flight.
It's got a 4-stroke sound, even with that prop. I mean, that's.
It sounds very much like Tradition did when it was.
And I've been editing down these World videos. There's an awful lot of 4-strokes at the World.